Football is fueled by dreams. To go further, get there faster. Those wins don't just happen.
They must be claimed. Work for today, achieved together. The XFL is where the full potential of football is realized, both on and off the field.
Give cities new reasons to cheer, partners new platforms to build on, people a deeper sense of fandom,
and athletes a new path to live their passion and play professional football. This is tomorrow's league.
Driven by a new purpose and a shared commitment. Powered by new leadership, this is for all of us, and the only way to get there is together.
To change how football is experienced, where passion meets a field of possibility.
Tomorrow's league starts today.
Welcome to the XFL.
I'm Jonathan Hayes of the St. Louis Battlehawks, and this is the XFL Show.
If you smell what the XFL is cooking.
Welcome, football fans. This is the week of March 27th. This is For the Love of Football, and this is the XFL Show. I'm Alan.
And I'm Bryant.
The Rock and Danny Garcia teased an announcement this week, and then we got an announcement in the form of a new XFL brand rollout. New logo, new color scheme, new merch. Oh, yeah, and there's going to be a team in Orlando, apparently. This is episode 214. Branding is all the rage, Bryant. You got to have your brand gimmicks down.
So, like, did they heat up the new XFL logo on, like, some iron and, like, start just branding? Is that kind of branding you're talking about? I'm next in line if that's the case.
It's not that kind of branding. It's not Brandon. It's branding. You got to have your brand. And there's a new brand. It's black, it's white, and it's the XFL. The X coming together. We're going to break down the whole logo.
Almost.
Touching barely or not. But we're going to go over it. The messaging is the important part, I think, of the new brand rollout. And we're going to discuss the announcement, the tease that would happen. We thought about a lot of things this week. Would we go live? Look at this announcement they're teasing. Ooh, finally, business is picking up. Should we do this? Should we do that? Ultimately, what we decided to do was sit on everything, wait, process it, and give you this show this week. And we know we've been off an extended time, more than normal, but not too long. And here we are, just 46 or 45 weeks away from kickoff, Bryant, doing another show. And this time we're talking about a whole new identity for the league. But I would say still the same XFL.
Pillars.
Nothing major changed this week other than the messaging and the logo.
I guess we have substance behind what I think Danny Garcia and The Rock have been saying all along, was this is going to be a league of culture, of different things. We'll get into all that. But we got some definitions of what exactly that meant, I think, this week.
For sure. And we're going to get into all that. Plus, yes, Orlando is apparently getting a coach, and has a team. Not official, just like San Antonio's not official, but we're going to break it all down for you. 724-565-4XFL is the number for you to call or leave a text. That's the XFL Fan Line. Interact there, or of course, social media at XFL Show, everywhere at XFL Show on all the social media gimmicks. And we are brought to you by our gentle, fearless sponsors who have refused to abandon us because they love us so much. Pretty Easy Podcasts. You could go to prettyeasypodcast.com to get your own podcast started today. That's your own producer. That's your own editor. That's all the help you'd ever need to do a podcast. Video, audio, whatever the case may be. Do it from home. Do it from wherever you are with all the help you'd ever need at an affordable rate. And all you have to do is go to prettyeasypodcast.com to get started. Quit waiting on your podcast. Get it up and running today with some help at prettyeasypodcast.com.
Because they make podcasting pretty easy. So easy that if you have a brand in mind and you need some pillars to go with that brand, some ideas, some mantras, Pretty Easy Podcast can help you do that as well.
They do. They do some creative, brainstorming with you. Throw things off the wall. That we have fun with them all the time, thinking of stuff for the show. That's the kind of help you need when you do a podcast. Or if you say, "Hey, this week I'm in a stand. What do I do with my camera?" They'll help you out with that.
Put it on a bar stool.
I know. Just get some bar stools and a table, and you're good. I mean, you don't have to buy these fancy gimmicks. Just
actual bar stools.
Like actual bar stools. I'm rocking. I mean, I might have to tweet a picture of this setup. It is kind of mad scientist-y how I set up.
It looks like Marv's. You know what I'm talking about? Marv's ladder when he tries to climb out of the basement. He's like, "Oh yeah,
he's got on
solid
like
as a rock
and all sorts of stuff." Yeah. That's. And I'm not going shoeless. That's for sure. Just in case, because that scene still haunts me. Let's think and dunk real quick though around XFL social media. And this is
wait, really quick. Congratulations. Yes. We went 5 minutes without any false information.
I mean, I think we've gone infinite, all the minutes we've ever done this.
We've gone 214 episodes without false information, if you ask me.
I would say so. I mean, we just talk about what's out there and what people are talking about. We're not reporting anything false. We're just talking about some of the false information that is being talked about, and we sift through it. And we, of course, get down to the nuts, the bolts of what's actually going on with the XFL right here. And we hear from you, and we talk about what you're talking about, like Roberto, who said, "Looks like you guys are going to have to change the logo of your podcast." Is that my department or yours, Bryant? I think that's more you. You're the visuals. So
I am.
Look at this beautiful overlay. Look at the boxes you and I are in right now. All this has to go away. Actually, you have to redo it before we even put this one out. I think that's the way to do it.
Oh, I can't even go red, white, and blue anymore. Oh man,
just black and white.
This time, this has been so much easier before I had a child.
Brian is really angry about the new branding because he's going to have to change this eventually. You know me, I keep it up for a while or forever. I don't care. I just want to talk about
We'll have to do a big old YouTube video of us rebranding ourselves. In our pillars of rebranding.
I'll call it a rebrand whenever I lose like 25 pounds, and that I don't know if that's coming before this kickoff. So maybe in a couple of years it will rebrand.
Yeah, we'll see. It's a lot. I like the colors. The colors give it some life. If you go black and white everywhere,
it's interesting. Hold your horses. We'll talk about that. What about the mystery roughneck fan who has been sending us fan line texts and pictures and stuff and questions? Never left his name, or at least I didn't catch it, so we'll call him the Roughneck fan in Texas on the XFL Fan Line said, "Can we discuss the implications of having two spring league teams in the same city?" He was wondering, what if Houston has an XFL team and the USFL's Gamblers? But we're forgetting one thing here. The Gamblers don't actually play in Houston, so I don't think it matters at all. How about you?
Oh, that's this season. Let's talk, and say, hey, next year they're going to play in Houston. The Gamblers are going to play in Houston. The Roughnecks are going to play in Houston. Right now, the timetable set is that they're playing at different times.
Yeah.
Is there enough room for two teams in a Texas city like Houston? I don't know. I mean, I guess.
I say, there's enough room in many cities for two NFL teams or two NBA teams or two MLB teams, mostly the really big cities, but Houston's a really big city. So I think that's totally fine, especially when you're talking about them not even playing simultaneously. So Gamblers, Roughnecks, I think that's going to be a great time for the city of Houston if they have them both at the same time. Hopefully, I hope that happens, but I don't see it happening. I feel like the USFL is a budget league and it is a hub league, at least now, and there's no signs of it stepping away from a hub city anytime soon.
It's a fancy version of Wipeout.
I mean, it's the same concept. It's all filmed in
Well,
the
I hope their commentators are like that. Just the jokes.
I hope that at the end,
Rob Riggle, right? Rod Riggle.
No, you know what I want it to be like after the USFL games end. I want it to be like the old Nickelodeon Studios shows that would show filmed in front of a live studio audience in Universal Orlando, filmed in front of a live stadium audience in Birmingham, Alabama, and just show the picture of, Birmingham, Alabama. Give them some love. That's what it's all about. Getting the city some dollars, right? At the end of a tag at the end of every broadcast.
The USFL, Georgia Peach logo that we see when the WWE goes to,
or when anything's filmed there.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah. Made in Georgia. We are a week away, just over a week away as of this live on tape recording from the USFL kicking off. So that means next week, Bryant, you and I are talking USFL games. I can't wait. Come on, you're excited for the games, right? They're actually kicking off.
I'm excited to see this product. I mean, it's hilarious to me that we're at this point where we are 10 days away, and we know it just as much as we did when we were 45 days away, really, honestly.
We know a little bit more. We know that there's lasers. We know the rules.
Are the lasers in place?
They've got lasers. I can't wait to see the lasers.
Did they confirm them after they talked to him?
Mike Pereira said there's lasers. There damn well better be lasers.
But did he say that there was lasers after he said there were going to be lasers?
What are you, my wife? You need to double confirm. He said there's lasers.
He said there were going to be lasers like 2 months ago.
Yeah, okay. What's
maybe
changed
he meant
then?
laser from American Gladiators.
If that's the case, that's also
he's just going to run down. He's going to be the first down.
If you give me laser and Gemini, the USFL's going to.
We didn't say anything about Geminis, but laser and blazer, maybe
they are going to be playing into May, so there could be some Gemini action in the USFL. Yes, it is also filmed the same way American Gladiators.
Some astrology stuff there.
Yeah, it's because it's May. I only know that's the only sign I know because that's mine. Everything else I could never tell you. But I'll tell you that the moon is above us right now, and it's pointing towards our next segment, Brian, if you're ready to talk about the new brand. Let's do it.
I'm always ready to talk about a new brand.
In this week's Cover 2.
Good, crisp football.
New logo, new identity, new XFL unveiled this week by the XFL. And oh my goodness, is this a lot to digest, Brian? And that's why we took some time, because not only is there new visuals, new logos, new colors, there's 4 pillars to the league, a whole new mantra that we really need to dissect. So let's get into it all here. First and foremost, the quote from Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Here's the bottom line of what our new XFL logo stands for. The X represents the intersection of dreams and opportunity. So our hungry XFL players, coaches, and fans, you bring the dreams and we'll bring the opportunity.
It's so much better than Vince McMahon saying X is a cool letter.
It's the first time the X in XFL is almost kind of defined. Yes.
Yeah.
It's
kind of means something.
It's two things. It's an intersection. It's two things coming together, dreams and opportunity. And the XFL as the league provides the opportunity. We as fans, the players, the coaches, everybody else brings the dreams. And I got big dreams for the XFL, Bryant. So I can't wait for them to give you and me the opportunity to talk about this league in 2023. Hashtag we won our jobs back. New Ducks, old Ducks uniting. That's also what it kind of reminded me of. I don't know about you. What did you think before we get into your reaction to the logo? What did you think before we said, should we get on live and do a speculation episode? And I said, I just don't have it in me. There's too much. It'll be 4 hours long. I want sleep, please. And you're like, you're right. And so we didn't. But what did you think going into the announcement it would be? Because there was that wiping of the logo that they teased. So you knew it was going to be a new logo, I think. I did. And then what else? I was expecting a little bit more, I'll be honest. Something like cities or more in terms of the actual structure.
I think we've talked about it before. The skeleton, right? How many teams? Those are the kind of things. But, you and I are not marketing geniuses, right? We're not these people that build brands and pretty easy podcasts can, but we can't, right? Well, that's not what we do. So is it smart to do this entire rebranding and then not give it time to breathe and just throw on the skeleton of the league on top of it? Like that just kind of overshadows what you're trying to do, which is basically say this is what the XFL actually is. I guess it makes sense.
It was odd because a lot of what it's more cemented now, I guess, in like it's like the leagues, I don't know what you want to call it. These are the words they're going to put up in the corporate offices that get everyone motivated to get them all on the same page. This is the foundation of the league. And so that's why
this is for the love of football. This
is exactly. And that rolled out with everything immediately in when 2018 and, the for the love of football, they were caught on, I guess, on the road, but this is the new identity. This is the declaration that this is different from 2020 in a variety of ways. And this is just kind of stripping that away. Whatever stigma 2020 had, which to a lot of us had none, except that it was ruined by COVID. Other than that, we love the league. We love the football. We love the way it was run. We love, I guess, the logo. The logo that we're rocking now in this overlay that people are watching on YouTube with, and the old XFL logo. It's okay. It was never like the greatest logo.
This is the XFL show logo. This is very different than the XFL logo.
Yes, exactly right. Two different things. The new XFL logo has a lot to be discussed about because it is similar to some things. It is already kind of controversial, and we'll get into that. But the fact that it was just a brand identity kind of rollout, the tease, I guess, the night before, 2 nights before, whatever it was, felt like it would be more. It would be something about cities or, like you said, the skeleton of the league, which we don't really know yet. And does it matter? I was talking to someone who doesn't follow the XFL closely but knows about it, watched it in 2020 today. And they said it wasn't Jake. No, it was just another guy on another show that I wasn't on. I wasn't cheating on this show, but I was just hanging out. And this guy said, "It's The Rock, man. So it's not going to fail. It doesn't matter what they do right now. They could put out little tweets about brands and announcements and press releases and whatnot. No one cares. Ultimately, it's The Rock. He's behind it. It will not fail." And I was like, and I took a step back after this conversation. And I thought, to me, that sounds crazy just because he's The Rock. And yes, he is The Rock and he's the most famous person in the world. And yes, all of his ventures are just destroying it right now. It's energy drinks and tequila and every movie and TV show is all a hit. But this is totally different. And as I guess maybe I'm just jaded and more conservative because I followed the 2020 league and know how difficult this thing is going to be for everybody involved. And that's why I don't think you can only rely on that. Obviously, that's going to be a huge advantage this time around for the league. But is that enough? I hope, and I think it could be, but I'm not 100% certain. But I think the prevailing thought from outsiders, from you and I, Brian, I guess I call them outsiders, not super hardcore XFL nerds, that might be the prevailing thought that, the XFL's coming back, The Rock's behind it. It'll probably last and be awesome. So that's a good thing, if that is.
If you have hopes that the XFL will be around, if you want it to, then The Rock is this beacon of light that, excuse me, that people gravitate to, right? The Rock, what we say, The Rock says jump, and everyone's pretty much saying how high, and that's what The Rock does, right? He puts this. He's like that black light for insects outside. You turn that thing on, and everyone just starts kind of coming to it and seeing what happens. So, for The Rock to take the time to build this thing, to make the logo different, his own. Because even if you look back at the 2001 and 2020 logo, they had that X with the XFL through it. They were very similar. I put that in air quotes, but there was similarities in there. This one's a completely different rebrand.
It is.
You wonder how much of 2020 is going to be fed into this new version of the XFL. But in terms of the look, the feel, and the mantra, it's It's a complete 180.
Oh, yeah. And wait till we get to the 4 pillars of the XFL. But before we do, let's finish up on this logo. So we're pulling it up on the screen for everybody who's watching on YouTube. And if you are listening to the podcast, the audio-only version, follow along. Find the logo, I don't know, on Twitter or whatever. Google it. But look at this new logo here. So we've got the new logo, Bryant, and it is 2 X's that are just apart. Coming
2 halves
together.
of an X.
2 halves of an X, sorry. And they are coming together, but they're not there yet. I don't know how to exactly explain it, but it just, the first thing and the gut feeling to me, I felt was, oh, this is the Axe body spray logo. And I am one of those people, because you went on Twitter then and saw people's reactions, and that was a common thing that was being said. And then you also looked at some of the other reactions, and just, I feel like, I don't know, maybe because it's just so simple, it's black and white. And I love the messaging behind it and the meaning behind the logo. But I will be honest and say it doesn't seem too inspiring of a visual to me. And it's just a logo. The NFL logo is a shield. And is it great? I don't know. It's just the only thing we've ever known. It doesn't really matter, I think. And The Rock might even say as much. But ultimately, this new logo is controversial. I will say that. It is already just a couple days in, causing a little bit of controversy and maybe a little backlash for the league that maybe it did not want with this rollout, because everything else I think was on point. The messaging, the idea behind it, but the execution of this actual logo, maybe they're in a little bit of hot water, because now we're seeing it's too similar to some other brands, and people aren't feeling the simplicity. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it goes through on the road to kickoff, this logo itself. Ultimately, though, what did you think of it? And does it even matter that it is already kind of controversial?
Well, I'll tell you what, we talk about branding and marketing. How easy is it going to be to put this on anything? On anything. You can put that on a sticker. You can put that on a hat. You can put that on a keychain. Like, it's super simple. It's compact. It's like, as a man who creates the images for this show, having something that's this tiny in terms of like, and just, it's so easy. So easy. It's not italicized.
It's really thin font. You could place it on all sorts of stuff. It's great. Very practical.
Exactly. So that makes sense. I mean, you look at the Rock's other types of brands, and maybe, they're similar in that sense, but it's fine. Is it a sports kind of logo? I would say probably not.
No, it looks more like a tech logo. It looks like some sort of, it looks like an app or something. I think if you look really deep into, which I am right now, into the logo, you could see it looks like 2 faces that are facing each other with the 2 different sides of the X. Or I don't know what's going Pac-Man on with this. Yeah, with this F, or if they're going opposite directions with the Pac-Man look, you're right. But this doesn't look like.
To me, it looks like a logo that would show up on a 1980s alarm clock if you were to write XFL on it.
It's kind of like a retro future digital type of look, which I dig. I love that aesthetic. But this, for the
XFL
league,
was an 8-bit game.
Yes. Oh man, it'd be super rad. This looks like it could be the logo for the league if there was a football league in like Blade Runner or some future movie. But
this is what the AAF's logo should have looked like. If
exactly, a tech company. Yes, you're right.
I could see the XFL on the side of a building.
Yeah. But then again, this also plays better. This logo fits the acronym XFL better than I think the 2020 logo did, because that one is more of like a patriotic kind of inspiring red, white, and blue look. But the XFL does seem, the letters are, you put X, at least back when we were growing up, anything with X was futuristic or really innovative or different.
So like Matchbox 20. Yeah.
Yeah. Did they have an X in Matchbox? No.
X and box?
No, they definitely weren't like what are you talking about?
Saying
Rob
there's
Thomas
an X in Matchbox.
Cool. All right. The XFL's logo though, it's It is what it is. What did you think of it? Let us know at XFL Show. Did it inspire you? The visual? No. The messaging behind the new branding and identity definitely did. And that's where the XFL.
So you're saying you just don't like the logo?
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying I don't think it was worth this, like the headache that they're definitely going to be facing now, because we're already seeing, well, not only the Axe body spray people are putting the emoji of the thinking little emoji face.
That's them trying to get some
cute.
rub.
That's
from
cute,
the XFL.
trying to get through. But then we see this Together brand, Sue Bird, Megan Rapinoe. They're basically, Megan Rapinoe tweeted out they're going to come after this brand, this new look, and force them to change it because it's too similar to their lifestyle and culture.
The Rock just tweeted, I'm reading this live.
Okay.
The XFL football emoji, we're pumped about the big announcements we have coming up. I'm a passionate dude, and I'll tell you guys, this is one passionate organization. Everyone buying into the dream. Very cool and motivating to feel the energy and mana. DJ.
For sure. 100%. This logo, though, hopefully doesn't cause them a headache, because that was tweeted out also today by Megan Rapinoe that they're basically coming after this logo. They're not going to have it and let the XFL get away with having this similar logo to theirs. So there's one headache for the league. And there's also people who are kind of pissed that this big reveal that they teased was only branding and logos, which people generally don't care about as much as, actual football. But I still have very, very good energy this week for the league, Brian, because of these 4 pillars. Can we get into the 4 pillars of the XFL, which is why all this good mana is in the offices of the XFL right now? Are you ready to hear the 4 pillars?
Oh, please.
Okay, here are the 4 core brand pillars to guide the league in its mission to building tomorrow's league today. And this was in the press release. First, co-creation. Build a league of culture, a place where players, fans, partners, employees, and communities interact with each other to build a dynamic future of football. That's co-creation, Brian. That's what you and I do every single week on this show, so I could get behind that. Number 2, inclusivity. Embrace being at the intersection of opportunities, connecting players to fans and changing the way everyone experiences and engages with the game. Inclusivity, Bryant. That's number 2. Accessibility. Number 3, create a new standard for accessibility by experimenting with different forms of interactivity to connect the fans and the players in a way unlike ever done before. Creating a deeply immersed and personal fan base. That's accessibility. And the last one, innovation. Leverage innovation to unlock new opportunities to win together. There you go, the 4 pillars of the XFL, the mission statement of tomorrow's league. Bryant, what do you think of that? The 4 pillars, just paint them up on the wall, maybe with like some inspiring images. That's what it's all about. Branding, corporate messaging.
I can't wait for the co-creation, inclusivity, accessibility, and innovation t-shirts. Could collect all 4.
Collect all 4, and then the 5th one with them all on there. I'd buy it. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Or I'd get it at a corporate retreat. #, want our jobs back. That's number 2. Maybe one more before the end of the show.
I think it's important to define. I mean, if you're going to do what they did, which was basically roll out the red carpet in that sense with this new logo and brand identity, then to me, you got to define what these are, which is what they did, and make sure that they're actually meaningful. So we'll see. Time will tell how co-creation, inclusivity, accessibility, innovation all feed into this XFL. Because if you're going to make them your brand pillars, then you definitely have to make them your brand pillars and make sure that they're actually used every single day that you're leading up to kickoff and beyond.
And, I do see a lot of what was going on in 2020 in these 4 pillars, but they are really going to be committing, it appears, to some stuff that wasn't in the conversation in 2020 as well. So, and to me, it stands out first and foremost, the innovation, the leverage to unlock new opportunities. That is saying that they are there to change the game and experiment. And that's what their deal with the NFL is. And that's going to be an important part of the league. So that stood out to me probably the most of these 4 pillars, as of course the football laboratory to the NFL is kind of what the agreement seems with the XFL and the NFL. So that one stood out. And then the other one, of course, the co-creation, Bryant. I feel like there was a lot of that going on in 2020, but this league of culture, which still is in the mission statement, which has been said since day one, the league of culture. This is going to be interesting to see how they change it up in the new XFL with their content department, which we were a part of, with how the players interact with that, and then the fans and social media. This is the 21st century portion of this open source creation of a football league. How do they approach it, and how much do they allow people in? We'll see. And then the other one, inclusivity, obviously you need to have that these days, and the XFL embracing different people from different backgrounds, different ways of going at the game. And that inclusivity, I think, is all that the eye is not just for inclusivity. I think that international conversation that we've been having about the XFL falls into that pillar. And then the last one I'll bring up here, this accessibility. Let's hopefully they go as hard as they did in 2020 with just allowing fans the access to the on-field product, first and foremost. And they could do a lot more than was going on in 2020. We were getting plenty in 2020. Tip of the iceberg in 2020, Bryant. Let's hope more of that in 2023.
Well, a lot of these things were part of 2020. They just weren't, made up brand pillar.
Yeah,
exactly. In 2020. So, the XFL is making themselves more than just a spring football league. They're trying to make themselves a staple within the sporting industry, I guess you could call it. They're redefining not just the game of football, but they're redefining how you go about this. And, at the end of the day, is it all about good, crisp football like we always hear about? Maybe it is. But even with good, crisp football, at some point, people are going to want more. And I guess if the XFL is giving them more, because players also need to trust you, fans need to trust you, cities need to trust you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're building all this in that sense, the quality of the play is not going to build that trust with all these different partners that you do. Something like this.
Yeah, especially after what happened in 2020. You need this kind of messaging. And, people might come at the XFL this week on Twitter, which they have, and besides the logo bashing, we'll say, what's with all this corporate talk, mumbo jumbo, inspirational, these are just words. But I understand where someone's saying that's coming from, but this is important for any company that is being brought from out of the ashes, that many people might feel like they were burned by the XFL leaving in 2020. Obviously, there's so many circumstances. You should understand why the league went away. Many people might be skeptical of spring football after years and years of failures, but this kind of branding, this kind of messaging is exactly what you need to do in order to win hearts and win people over and try to get them to buy in to what you're trying to do, which is more than football. Because if you go out, like Brian said, just going out there for some good football, well, we might actually see that this spring. So what more can you be doing? And this is one way maybe the XFL will set itself apart from the USFL, which their branding is just, hey, this is football. It's on TV. Watch it, dum-dum. The XFL is telling you this is football, but it's also way more than that. And they're going for the gusto in that regard. And I love it. I love that part of it. Sure, you might have to deal with some, maybe too much lovey-dovey than people are comfortable with. I love that sort of stuff. But you know what? At the end of the day, if you love football and you want the XFL to succeed, they have to have a brand and a message like this. So well done. The only issue I had this week was that logo maybe wasn't perfect, because obviously they already have hit some brick walls with
no logo would have been perfect.
It's impossible. to avoid copyrights and people being upset and disliking it. But then it's not like they're replacing the Nike logo or some logo that's just beloved. That's the other thing. Like, it's not like this XFL logo that's being replaced was anything special.
I didn't even know Axe body spray was being made still, honestly, but
yeah, I know. I mean, it's still out there. I smell. I know it because I smell it sometimes when you go out in public. It's unfortunate, but you do.
You have to go out in public? Is that the unfortunate part, or the unfortunate part is you still smell?
Both. Although I haven't been out in public in, a few days now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although you cleaned up the beard ever since our BBR episode. You've cleaned it up a little bit. It's not so...
Well, I mean, that's
so rough and tough.
WrestleMania was rough weekend. But, I had to clean up for this. This is a big rebrand,
What was your favorite night of WrestleMania? WrestleMania Friday, WrestleMania Saturday, WrestleMania Sunday, or WrestleMania Monday? There's also a WrestleMania Saturday morning.
I'd say WrestleMania Saturday was because there was lots of WrestleMania that day, the most. And also Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Which, by the way, take a hint, XFL, from WrestleMania in terms of like just expanding it throughout an entire weekend.
It's
football
it's a good
every
thing.
Single day, Friday to Monday.
It's a good thing. I think expanding. I mean, I was so looking forward to those late season, non-weekend
Thursday
games.
Yeah,
we didn't get to those, so I'm hoping that happens. But the new brand is here, and it is here to stay. Unless they have to change the logo. We'll keep an eye out on that. Let us know what you think of the new XFL brand identity, or if you really don't care and you brush it aside, which I would say is the vast majority of people either didn't notice it, and we're of course talking about it in terms of people who are following this thing way closer than anybody who's even a hardcore football fan. They're still not paying attention to all the business aspects of the XFL. That's what we do here on the show. We're watching it all the way up until kickoff and beyond, from the just every kind of everyday Joe or Jane Bryant. This was unnoticeable this week, other than the XFL's back and they got a new logo, new and improved. Okay, we'll see what they do next.
I don't think anybody jumped to the XFL shop to get new merch, especially if you weren't following but the XFL before. But look, you got to start somewhere. Am I getting impatient? Yes. Is every other fan out there getting impatient? Of course. But, we want so much. We want so much more information. Do we need it? I'll let everybody else answer that question for themselves.
Yeah, and I had a guy today tell me bluntly, hell no, you don't need to know till the week before kickoff. What the hell? Some people...
I know you want the rule book, right? But we didn't know that until a couple of weeks before kickoff.
True.
And here we are sitting, how many weeks?
45 weeks.
45 weeks to kickoff, and you want the rule book. 45 weeks to kickoff, and we want all this information. And I get it. Maybe we were just spoiled. As long as the XFL doesn't do what the USFL did or didn't do, I think we're in a good shape. It sucks. It hurts. It's disappointing. It's a letdown. But what do we need versus what do we want?
Yes, they are two different things. I
wanted the shake. Do I need it? Probably not, but this shake's pretty good.
Definitely not, but it does look delicious. And you know what? You just brought up kind of some disappointments. There's excitement definitely in our next segment, but I think the rumors are some major disappointments maybe could be coming down the road on this road to kickoff. Let's get into it in this week's Hot Read.
Man, finally. Big things coming soon. Stay tuned.
So for those of you on the audio-only version on your favorite podcast app, that long dramatic pause was because we might be seeing the end of some teams that we liked in 2020 playing in some cities we liked for the XFL in 2020, because it appears the rumors are swirling that teams like the shirt I'm wearing, the LA Wildcats, won't exist in the next iteration of the XFL. The reports this week have been that there's a team in Orlando. There's a team in Orlando coming in the XFL. And their head coach will be former NFL defensive back Terrell Buckley, who's a legend, FSU legend, Super Bowl winner, played for a litany of teams in the NFL. I think he played for every team in the AFC East. Maybe not the Bills. I don't remember. Played for everybody.
That would be impressive if Josh Johnson didn't do that last season.
Yeah, it's true. 13-year NFL veteran, and also has been coaching as an assistant at Akron and Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Louisville. Another coach apparently hired by the XFL, but not officially announced yet. Of course, Reggie Barlow is the name we heard leaving Virginia State to coach the San Antonio team in the XFL. But with that, also the rumors coming from people like our good friend, close personal, longtime, dear good friend of the show, Mike Mitchell, reporting that it sounds like teams like the Guardians and the Wildcats and the Tampa Bay Vipers will no longer be playing in those cities, at least. And we might even see a Vegas team enter the fray. Lots to unpack here. First up, the coaching decision. If it's Terrell Buckley, hell yeah, I'm all for that. That's a great hire. I am all about this hiring ex-players who are not going to really get that opportunity to be a head coach unless they grind and hope for the best, which is really how that thing goes. Or it's who you know. This is giving people direct access to these opportunities, which is what the league is all about. It says in the mission statement now. And when you see stuff like what's going on with Deion Sanders at Jackson State, as much as I dislike prime time from him stealing a Super Bowl from the Steelers when I was a kid, damn it if it's not impressive, especially when it comes to his recruiting. Now we see ex-players like Terrell Buckley and Reggie Barlow getting the shot, and the rumored names too. Oh my goodness, if we see these guys coaching in the XFL, I will be giddy, Bryant.
Yeah, sure.
What do you mean, yeah, sure?
Whoop-de-doo.
What do you
Where
mean,
am I, gosh,
whoop-de-doo?
darn Wildcats.
Oh, he's just really upset about the Wildcats. Okay, I'll let you there. I'll let you have that. But you got to be excited for possible Rod Woodson.
Of course. No, there's a ton. There's so much. It'd be great. It would be entertaining. The post-game interviews would be great. It gives these coaches opportunities that they otherwise probably wouldn't give them in some sort of professional league. Inclusivity, right? I guess we can go that way too, right? So I'm all for all those coaches, and having a team in Orlando makes sense. Having a team in San Antonio makes sense. So from what we're hearing through the grapevine, it sounds like there's some good things coming in terms of coaching and some exciting cities that we didn't have in 2020.
Yeah, so when you're talking about Orlando, San Antonio, these are teams that we saw in the AAF. We saw Orlando in the XFL in 2001. I think they totally work, especially San Antonio. Orlando makes more sense than Tampa Bay, I think, when you're talking about a fan base that might, go all in on it. Tampa Bay, although it was rowdy, apparently, at the stadium, didn't come off the same way.
Was your uncle there?
No, hell no. No way.
Okay, it was figured chaos.
I'm trying to get him to go to the Maulers in Birmingham, but he said not till they actually play in Pittsburgh. But the Tampa Bay, we even said if there's an XFL, 2021 season, if there was a second season, we'd maybe hope for them to move from Tampa to Orlando just because it made a little bit more sense. So that's cool. Vegas is cool. I want a team in Vegas for sure.
Where would they play?
I mean, not that big old stadium, right? They'd have to play at the College. Just
that's
like
way
2001.
off. That's way out there. Way out there.
It's not super way out there. I mean, it's
not there.
It's not on the strip. It's not.
Where does UNLV plays at? I think they play at the Allegiant now.
Oh, they did. They moved. Oh man, if they played at
Sam
Allegiant,
Boyd Stadium, I don't think is
being used.
I don't even know if it's.
Well, either way, to play at Allegiant would be kind of crazy, especially when you're saying, okay, they're taking teams out of LA and New York. Why? Because those cities are just too big. The stadiums are too big. What's the reasoning? Hopefully that's not true. These are rumors that, at least courtesy of Mike Mitchell, that's where I read it. Mike Mitchell on XFL News Hub
Yeah, they play at Allegiant now.
Yeah, so these were rumors again. But if that's the way it's going to go, and they're going to leave the giant cities, I'm upset because now it means definitely no Chicago, I would think. But also it makes sense. It's more of an AAF approach, which is go where the NFL is not and give people football. Cool, I'm for that. But to not even be around New York City, that just seems kind of odd to me. Maybe they'll be playing at that Red Bull in New Jersey at the end of the day, but we'll see, Brian. I don't know. What do you think, though, about Orlando? Do you want them to be the Orlando Rage, bring them back, or totally new team?
Oh, man. One of the better names, I think, other than the Memphis Maniacs, Orlando Rage is probably number 2.
Which had an X in it, like Matchbox
Yes, it did.
20.
Or like LAX Stream. I'm all for Orlando. I think we saw glimpses of it in the AF. Great fan base, a lot of fun. The stadium is a big hunkin' stadium, but it's like right in the middle of like residential areas. It's very interesting placement, but I'm all for that one. I think kind of the same way I saw San Antonio. It's just it's a city that seems to do well, but for some reason doesn't have a professional team. Here we are. But either way, I'm all for Orlando. It doesn't make sense to me, leaving LA and leaving New York. We've talked about it in the past. These are big city football like towns that you want to be in to feel big. If you're gonna stay south, stay away from New York, stay away from LA. How big are you? That's a question I guess I definitely am not equipped to answer, but
yeah,
to me,
and also with the rumors too that, and at least in Mike Mitchell's latest article, he said that there are and these are rumors, but I mean, just could you imagine if the XFL was a hub city league? That would be. I'm with him. He wrote it in his article. Horrible. I would just not be for that at all because, like you said, how big are you? I know we're coming out of a pandemic slowly but surely, and not all the way there yet, but I think we are at a point where people would expect you, if you're talking this big and want to be that big, you can't be a hub city league. There's already people trying to tell me the Lakers didn't really win the championship, Brian. I can't have that.
The only time I think a hub city was, I'll give it 2 times actually, where hub cities worked perfectly were in the NHL. It was just amazing because it was hockey all day long. It was great. And March Madness. I think those are the only 2 times it's ever worked in this entire trying to do this together. It didn't work for baseball. It didn't work for the NBA. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel right. It just doesn't seem... No, I get the safety protocols and I get the trying to protect your assets and I get all that and that makes sense. And I'm all for that, but there's got to be a way you can do this without having a hub city.
Yeah, that
because now it looks like you're cutting costs. Now it looks like you're
exactly. You don't want to be a budget league. You want to have a budget and be smart, but you can't be a budget dollar store league. And that's kind of what being a hub city league says to me, at least as a fan. And
you don't gotta shop at Kroger,
yeah,
but don't shop at the 99-cent store either, right? Like there's somewhere in the middle that you can go.
Yeah,
Kroger's an expensive one or not.
And if the parking's an issue, just be patient. The league being a hub league, I don't feel that'll happen. I just in my gut don't see it happening. The league being in smaller towns, but still big cities, is totally cool and fine, and kind of was expected in 2020, and I was a little shocked. That it was
Big
just
City Football was the name
cities.
of our episode when they announced the cities, right?
It was Big City Football, and that makes a lot of sense.
Don't you feel like that's still necessary?
But so does the other way. It eventually, of course, but starting out in the smaller cities that are maybe a little bit more football starved makes sense.
That's what I've always said. It's like the Rock, Danny Garcia, Redbird Capital, XFL ownership. They are trying to establish themselves with everything they've done this week. That's their footprint. That's their foundation. Those are their pillars. Now you're going to tell me you're going to take that and going to small towns and establish yourself as a football league? I thought that's what you're doing. You're establishing yourself as something different. Now go establish that in a big city, rather than, hey, let's start in, Birmingham, or let's start in Orlando, and we'll make our way up to New York City at some point. It's not how it works. At least not how I like it.
I understand that too. It's going to be interesting to see, because again, these are not small cities. Orlando is a huge population. Vegas,
well, of course,
huge, and San Antonio is a place I'm sure people from all over Texas will happily go watch some pro football. And these it's not like they're playing in Akron, or which other town can I get mad at me right now? Let's say Schenectady. Okay. These are real towns, big cities that need football as well. So I'm all for it, but I'm with you too. And if the LA Wildcats do go by the wayside, man, oh man, I should stop wearing this T-shirt, because then it's going to be a real collector's item.
Yeah, I have like 6 of them.
Yeah, you can afford it. It's like the only.
No, they were
piece.
free.
Yeah, I know. Of all the free
snag
stuff,
one.
a lot of it got a broken bag here. It's sitting somewhere, can't even use it. Hold on to your memorabilia, I guess. I just kind of.
This is already a
reckless.
Collector's item right here.
Let's get back to real quick. Terrell Buckley being head coach number 2, allegedly.
Reportedly, allegedly.
It's reported.
Doesn't sound great. Reported.
You're right. Reported. It's hey, you saw the video. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, we played the video of him before we started the hot read. He's signing the contract, and I just probably can't say anything just yet, but he's going to be head coach number 2 along with Reggie Barlow. What do you think of this now? Rumored head coaches: Bob Stoops, Wade Phillips, Rod Woodson, Hines Ward, Anthony Beck, John Kitna, or the return of Mark Trestman. These were all put in Mike Mitchell's article. He's saying rumors swirling. Of course, nothing's concrete. No one knows jack for certain. But I think of all those names, I would be mega hyped to see at least 2 of them. And I think
Rod Woodson and Hines Ward.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Of course, I'd love to see the return of Bob Stoops and Mark Trestman as well. But interesting, many of those guys are ex-players who just haven't been head coaches. And then you have some old-timey head coaches there. What do you want to see? A mix, a balance, or just all-out youth movement in the head coaching ranks in the XFL?
No, you don't want to see a whole youth movement, because with the XFL in 2020, most of the coaches, I did not know who they were, other than Bob Stoops. No, I knew who Mark Trestman was, and I knew who
Wade Phillips,
Jim Zorn was.
Oh,
I'm talking about 2020.
Oh, in 2020. Sorry.
But if you start bringing in, we've always talked about bringing in names, bringing in people, notoriety. Like, who do you want to represent your leagues? You want good coaches. Your coaches are what actually is going to be the face of your league and those teams. And if you throw in, Hines Ward for the sake of throwing out Hines Ward, and I'm not saying he's not qualified, but if you just, he's Hines Ward, let's bring him in. Like, there's got to be more validity to that. I'm all for giving people opportunities and giving, but what I want is good coaching and good coaches.
It's a fine line you're walking, I understand, but also these guys are, the 2 guys at least so far, have been in the ranks, and they're ready. They got to be ready if you're coaching for that many years, even as an assistant. So no problem there. But yeah, if you brought in a guy like off of TV, or a guy like, I guess that would be Rod Woodson. I don't know how much coaching he's doing. Hines Ward's been trying to come up, and he's been doing that because he's a grinder. He's grinding as an assistant coach.
Well, where's he
in the
right
pros
now?
and in college, huh?
Where's Hines Ward right now? He's coaching somewhere.
Yeah, he was coaching. I think he was with the Jets, and I don't know if he went to UCF or something. I don't know. He was bouncing around. I don't have it in front of me, but also want to give credit. Aaron Wilson of Pro Football Network's the one reporting that the Terrell Buckley hiring by the XFL. So give him credit there. Awesome. I'm excited for these leaks. Guys like Aaron Wilson, Mike Mitchell, getting the information out there even before the XFL will announce it officially. And then we'll see how they roll it out, and hopefully that's special.
FAU.
I knew. Okay, UCF, FAU. I know it was somewhere in Florida. And yes, guys who are actually coaching as assistants but have name value. That is a smart thing, I think, for the XFL to do. And Mike Mitchell, in that article he wrote on the News Hub, he said maybe a couple of old timers, but mostly the young guys looking for that shot. I'm all for it, all just hungry first-time head coaches. I would be totally down with that, as long as the majority of them have a little bit of background in coaching. Because I think if you're trying for your Deion Sanders, I don't know how you're going to do that, because that's college and that's a lot of the recruiting and the messaging. You are going to need a guy who can X and O and keep things together, because they are going to be in charge of adults, and money's on the line. Whereas as exciting as it is, what Deion's doing is cool and crazy. Is it high stakes? Like, this kind of will be, because it's the future of the league. So you got to be careful and experiment a bit, but give the opportunity to people who deserve it, for sure. So of these names, I'd be fine with all of them being head coaches of the rumored names in the XFL. It is a bummer that some of our favorites from 2020 won't be coming back, it looks like.
It's still early. We don't know. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look like it. I think we ended up putting, I forget how many we said, 3 out of 10, whatever we put the odds at. But
yeah, and of course, things changed at the midnight hour. Who was the one coach that what the USFL thought they had, and then was it Chiswick or someone, and then left to go to UNC? So yeah, that could happen. So anything could happen, especially with these coaches. Damn, look at Brian Kelly just leaving at Notre Dame. These guys do whatever the hell's best for them, as they should. So
Lincoln Riley's like, all right, we're moving to the SEC. I'm going to the Pac-12. Let's go.
Yeah, that's the thing. Lock them in. That's all I got to say. I don't care when they're announced.
I mean, the AF had that problem for a little bit. They were losing coaches, so
they're probably the most. When I think about the most unreliable aspect of building the league, or the toughest part about it is
you're not a big I Love Lucy fan like I am, but there's this episode where she writes a novel, and her novel gets bought because they want to put it into a book that's called "Don't Let This Happen to You." That's what the AAF is. The AAF is the "Don't Let This Happen to You" portion of a spring football book.
Yes. And that's why I think it's smart to go after the young guys who are going to be chomping at the bit for the opportunity. That makes a ton of sense. Here's what I don't want. I don't want young ex-player coaches who are just there to have a good time. If Hines Ward wants an opportunity to coach at another level, at a bigger level, at a higher level, then yeah, he's going to be hungry. He's going to want this, and I'm all for coaches wanting this. Bob Stoops, does he want to coach anymore? He left Oklahoma, coached one more game. Is that somebody you want to have in your league? He was great, don't get me wrong, but yeah, see,
what's the balance? A young coach that's hungry who wants more opportunities, or Bob Stoops who's there to kill some time?
Yeah, and if we're analyzing that kind of a personality versus the super young and experienced guy, I'll take the super young and experienced guy, because what Bob Stoops brings to at least this version of the XFL, I don't think the value is there, because A, you'd probably have to overpay him, and 2, he did not feel like he was an ambassador for the XFL when he was there. He was there to be a football coach. Whereas a guy like Mark Trestman, I think, will wear the league as a badge and usher in, be an elder statesman, and usher in new coaches and prop up the league for success. He's the kind of personality, I think. Whereas Bob Stoops is, he's name brand, and obviously he's a great coach, but I just don't think he was involved in the XFL in 2020 in that aspect. That wasn't his focus. His focus was winning and having fun.
Coaches like Bob Stoops, coaches even like June Jones, were there to win.
Yeah,
we're there to win a championship, to compete.
Yeah, they're competitors.
Mark Trestman, you look at Mark Trestman, he's there to win, obviously, but he's also there to kind of, help the XFL build that brand, go with it, and
they have to fall in line. If they're an older coach, I think they really have to really closely fall in line with those 4 pillars. Whereas you're talking about the youngsters, they have to be the hungry types that you want to provide that opportunity to. So it's a balance, and hopefully we could see a good mixture of that. That would be cool too. But I lean towards the youth movement when it comes to the coaches a little bit more, and it's exciting seeing Reggie Barlow, guys I watched growing up, play the game, and Barlow and Buckley being the first two coaches reported to be in the XFL in 2023. Cannot freaking wait to see who else is announced at XFL Show. Let us know where you side on this issue, and of course the issue of maybe no LA or New York. Man, in the XFL, hard to fathom. Is it a bad move? Is it strategic? Can you succeed without being in those cities? Because every other spring league before them, that besides the AAF, I guess, besides the AAF, said, hell no, you can't. You got to be there. But maybe this iteration,
the NFL didn't think they had to be in LA for a long time, but I always say it, and people don't understand. There are so many football fans in this city. They just cheer for different teams.
That's true.
Take one city and divide their fan base by 32, and that's what you get.
But a lot of football love, so we'll see how SoCal...
Where all your Pittsburgh cousins live.
Oh, in L.A. A lot of them in L.A., yeah.
Yeah, a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Well, you grew up in L.A.,
yeah,
cheering for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Steeler fan in LA, yeah. And I knew Chiefs fans, and unfortunately
Bucks fans and Raiders fans and
Bucks fans, yeah.
Cowboy fans, 49er fans.
And of course Raider fans. But the thing is, people love football there. So I'm hoping SoCal gets some kind of XFL love. Hoping New York metropolitan area gets some kind of love. And I'm a big proponent of Chicagoland getting some XFL action. But with the reports so far, maybe we're looking at more like cities like Vegas, Orlando, San Antonio, but St. Louis. I guess Seattle would fall in line with them a little bit. I don't know. Could we go to a place like Portland now? I'm not big enough. That's too small compared to those teams.
Not that it's too small.
Miami's off the table, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's off the table.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Yeah.
We should do another big old big city. We did the whole east, west, south, north thing.
Now, a lot of these are back in play now. I feel like it's like we're on a election night right now. We're back in play here. We got since Orlando and Vegas are now in with San Antonio.
46% only reporting in.
Columbus, Canton, you're back in the fold. Unbelievable action going on.
Send in your requests to 724-565-4XFL. Tell us why your city should be a host of an XFL team. That'd be great.
Yes, and you know what? Also, let us know your opinion on everything, because there's a lot of opinions to be thrown around on all the topics on today's show, and that's why I love this episode. Controversy, but you know what? Lots of rumors and actual factual information colliding, coming together, co-creation, inclusivity, accessibility, and by God, innovation right here on This Is the XFL Show. Brian, it's been fun.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. It's always fun, and it's always right here, every single week, right here on your favorite podcast app. That's Google, TuneIn, Stitcher, Apple, wherever you get your podcast. Make sure you give us that 5-star review and tell your friends about us. If you got a comment, question, topic, or if you want to tell us why your city should host an XFL team, well, call or text the XFL Fan Line, 724-565-4XFL. Remember, standard text messaging rates. Oh, and hey, international rates do apply if you're in Canada as well. Follow us on all social media platforms at XFL Show. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Our DMs are open. Or if you want to come and say hi, Mom. Subscribe and watch us on YouTube at www.xfl.show, the official website of This Is the XFL Show. Don't forget to check out our sponsors, Pretty Easy Podcast. Go to prettyeasypodcast.com and get started today, because they make podcasting pretty easy. Did you just bench press or what? Curl your monitor stand?
Yeah, well, it's also a bar stool. Doubles as that. I figured if I'm doing my first standing episode, get a little workout in while I'm here.
We did some standing episodes, I think, on the fields and stuff.
Full episodes? No. We did bits.
What did we do? We did it.
segments.
We did do bits. We did do some bits where you were running across the field. That was great.
Oh man, I remember.
I do remember we did
That might
one
be
in
the last
a
time I
VIP
ran.
box at TDECU Stadium. That was pretty cool.
What did we do?
We did them in one of those like suites at TDECU Stadium.
Oh yeah. Solid internet connection too. That's all you need.
And we did in the Battle Dome too. We did a show at like the VIP sections as well after
Great.
the game.
And great press box there at the Battle Dome. And the good thing is with how we talked about the cities and the way the winds are blowing, it still looks like St. Louis is good. We'll see what else happens though. And my goodness, The Rock teasing it as we were doing the show too. More announcements about to come. Fast and furious, pun intended. April and May. What's next? They have the brand, they have the identity, they have the mission statement now. Now, those important announcements about the football and the broadcasting of the games, the stuff that we really, really are looking forward to. I feel like we're just on the
stuff
cusp,
that we
Bryant.
want.
We're
But
right
what is
here.
it that we need?
What do we need next? Who knows? We'll find out, and we'll be talking about it on the next program. But until then, for Bryant, I'm Alan. This is the XFL show. Remember, they're watching.